Hi everyone and welcome to Pixels, a podcast for the discerning gamer.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Pixels, a show where we cover the news from the video games industry from the past couple of weeks. I'm Patrick Beja, and we have a significantly heavy program. Today we're going to be talking about Fortnite on iOS and other games on iOS, maybe PUBG as well. There's the Nintendo Direct. There's a bunch of news of stuff that is coming out, either already has come out or is coming out soon. A bunch of stuff. And to help me sift through all of it is none other than Ed Mitchel with two L's.
The triumphant return of Ed Mitchel back to the dynamic duo with Patrick.
Exactly.
First podcast since the baby was born. We had a little micro therapy session right before this started.
Very much needed. I appreciate it, Ed. You spending a little bit of time listening to my complaints, of which there are many, and the largest of which is probably...
It's not complaining, it's venting, man. It's venting.
Yeah, I guess. It's like, you picked up and I was like, so the baby is out of the house for a little bit, and blah, blah, blah. And then, why do people do this again? Like, why do... I really think, there are two categories of people, of parents. The parents who've had relatively easy babies, who are like, I get it. They cry a little bit. I do, yeah. Ours cried too. They're like, yeah, no. And there are the parents who've had difficult to impossible babies who, when they it's almost like, you should have like gang signs you commiserate when you hear from one another, and when you pass each other in the street, you like nod and smile, and you're like, yeah, I know.
You are not the first person to tell me to be like absolutely sure.
Oh yeah. It's like, the thing is, it's like a lottery. You could get the good one, or you could get the other one, the other type. And I'm joking, but really, it's not funny. Like, I've gotten to the point. I'm sure I'm going to forget all of this.
He's laughing, but really, he's crying inside.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's like, I'm thinking, hey, let's just leave that shit to other people. You don't have to have kids. Other will do it for you. The race will perpetuate. So anyway, you know what? Let's talk about video games instead. That sounds like a more appropriate thing to discuss on this show. If you want to hear me complain about my wonderfully cute little baby, who really is absolutely cute when he's not crying, you can follow me on Twitter for that. But this is a show about gaming, and I guess the biggest news from the past couple of weeks is definitely the announcement and semi-release for testing purposes of Fortnite on iOS, which no one saw coming. They were like, one day they were like, hey, we're going to be bringing it to iOS, and also it's going to be cross-platform, cross-save, cross-progression, cross-everything. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle with the Xbox One and the PS4, which can't play together, but all of them can play with other platforms, which begs the question of, like, can PS4 players not be matched with, like, they can be matched with any other platform, but not if there's already an Xbox One player in there, and vice versa. So it's really dumb, and it's completely on Sony, who doesn't want to have that. But aside from that, the game is, I've played it a little bit, and I'm not a Fortnite player or fan, but it plays really well. It's super, like, I guess we shouldn't be surprised, because mobile games, mobile devices by now have become so powerful that they should be able to run these games, but they really do. I don't know if you haven't played it, right?
You should be surprised, because the mobile controls have never been something that really appeals to the idea of doing a shooter, but it seems to work pretty well. Like, have they figured out some kind of magic sauce about it, or is it just the same stuff?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, that's obviously a caveat. If you have a controller for your phone or tablet, you'll be fine. If you don't, then it's still a touchscreen control, and it works. And I mean, I'm sure they're going to prioritize the matchmaking to match people on the same platform. You can actually change there's a toggle to decide whether or not you want to be matched with other platforms. And yeah, if you're, someone playing on the PC versus someone playing on an iOS device, no, it's not, it's really like the hierarchy is PC, consoles, and then way, way in the bottom, iOS. It controls better than I would expect, I guess is the best compliment I can make it. But yeah, that's about it. Better than I would expect. I wouldn't say it's good. I wouldn't even say it's adequate. It's subpar, but it's not horrendous. Or yeah, I guess subpar but not horrendous is probably a good way of putting it. And beyond that, it's the full game. It's exactly as it is on PC. It's surprising that we've gotten to that point where you can and the fact that it's cross progress, cross save, cross everything is kind of surprising. And
do you think a Blizzard would ever consider doing this with Overwatch?
I don't know. I don't think so. The problem is the controls.
Right.
It just, and I guess it's a little bit less important. It's a little bit less fast for most of the game in battle royale games when you're moving around. But for a quote unquote like a traditional FPS or fast FPS, it wouldn't work. We're not there yet.
One day I'll just be able to put on my VR goggles and play Overwatch, and
by
no one will
moving
be the wiser.
Waving your arms around.
Yeah, I'll wave my arms around and run on a little treadmill. So
right.
That's all I need. And then when I dash with Tracer, I'll have like a little can to throw up in.
Yeah, that will be fun for all of 2.5 minutes. But so there's Fortnite came out already made like I don't know $1 million in 3 days without even being officially out. Like you need an invite or an invite from someone who had an invite. It's going to propagate really fast, but still. And then the PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds mobile version, which is a little bit different, but mostly faithful, but separate from, platforms are separate. And progression, I believe, is entirely separate, which would make sense. Battleground, PUBG seems like a more serious approach to the genre, so it would make sense that they wouldn't, mix the dirty mobile people along with the... with the PC people, and that seems like it's also very faithful to the PC version, to the desktop version, and it's working pretty well as well. And it's also available on. It's only in Canada, like it's a soft launch, but I'm guessing they're going to push it to the other countries as well fairly soon. It's also available on iOS and Android, which isn't the case for Fortnite. But I'm sure they're going to be pushing it fairly quickly because to the other countries, because I think that they're feeling the pressure of Fortnite. It's definitely, I don't know if you can tell me if you agree with me, but it's definitely feeling that like the dynamic is shifting from the bulldozer that was PUBG to the unavoidable juggernaut that Fortnite is becoming.
So I have a kind of barometer of these kinds of things. It's usually when a couple people at work ask me if the game's any good, and I've had my boss at work and then one of my product managers at work message me and was like, "Have you heard of this Fortnite game?" Like, one of them was like, "I saw a bunch of things about it, and I was wondering if you were interested in it." And then the other one was like, "All my kids want to play it," So like, I think I agree with you that the barometer is shifting a little bit there.
Did those your coworkers ask you about PUBG or not at all?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, it's a very different. It's different metrics because PUBG is not a free to play game. Although on mobile it is, obviously. That makes sense. But Fortnite is free to play, and that has helped it immensely. I mean, the kids thing. apparently every kid is playing it on PS4 or Xbox One, and now on mobile.
I think it also has the benefit of the art style is kind of a little bit more appealing to kids and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So, and just generally appealing, and I think visually speaking, than PUBG is.
Yeah, PUBG has that like CS:GO hardcore.
It's the engine that it was using versus the Epic's engine.
Well, they're both using Epic's engine. It's Unreal. Don't you remember that controversy?
I remember that story we talked about.
Yeah, they were complaining that Fortnite might be eating their lunch or like copying. Like the issue was, hey, we're using Unreal, the engine from Epic, and we developed tech that would allow people to play 100 people at the same time on the same map, and you're going to be using it, and you're going to be doing, you're going to be copying us and stealing our thunder.
Right.
And everyone was like, oh, come on, what are you talking about? PUBG is doing fine. Fortnite is like this weird little failed experiment, and their little battle royale mode is kind of a half a joke. And, and now, well, I mean, it's still, I still think it's unavoidable that the genre would have emerged anyway, and it's not like Fortnite or Epic has stolen tech from PUBG. I don't think that's a reasonable complaint. But still, Fortnite, I agree. Because it is free to play, it's propagating so quickly and in such a huge portion of the population, along with the cartoony looks, as you're saying. They even actually, we talked about this a while ago, they folded operations at Paragon, and they just announced that all of the assets, or $12 million worth of assets, I don't know how they count that, but sure, all of the Paragon assets are becoming part of the Unreal kit. So you can now use all of these assets, obviously the models, the textures, the animations, the sounds, all of those are becoming part of the Unreal Engine kit. That's pretty massive. So it's nice to hear that the people who have worked a lot on Paragon are not completely, their work is not going to waste. But and then Ark Survival Evolved is also coming out on iOS. So it's. I'm wondering if we're seeing the finally seeing mobile playing in the same field, not just numbers wise, but games wise, as the PCs and consoles. This is pretty big.
It's interesting seeing the style of games that are being ported kind of down, I guess, to the iOS, down in a derogatory manner, just like the style of game that we're talking about here all like big, like crazy big games that are very popular, and versus like seeing one of the big complaints that I have and a couple people have about the Switch is that there's a lot of games on there that seem very like mobile like style games, in addition to the ones that we all know and love. But it's interesting to see these games kind of being ported into the smaller form factor.
I mean,
there are other examples like Bastion had an iPad version, and stuff like that. So
but I think there's something peculiar.
This is the first one where the it seems like the big boys are kind of starting to play along.
Yeah, I think there's something special about TPS and FPS, It's kind of, if you can do that, then you can do anything on that platform.
Right,
I remember when Halo came out on Xbox, it was like the thing that you cannot do on a console with a controller is an FPS. And when Bungie proved that you could, it was like, all right, then there's almost, nothing that you can't achieve on that platform. So the fact that, yes, it's TPS, it's not FPS, but still, the fact that it's coming to mobile is very significant. And it doesn't run as well, but it runs well enough. And that is a huge, step in the life of those devices. So, Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm wondering if we'll see, now that this has been proven to be successful, I'm wondering if we'll see other players kind of get interested into doing not just smaller adapted versions, and obviously I think it has to be free to play, but trying to bring the same kind of games. We've seen Civ 6 that came out as well, and that was for pay, not free to play. But so stuff's happening. And you mentioned the Switch. We also had a Nintendo Direct a few days ago, and there was a bunch of stuff announced at that Nintendo Direct. Not huge stuff, but a lot. Until the end. Do we want to talk about other stuff than Smash Brothers, or is it the only thing that matters?
It's not the only thing that matters in this Direct, in my opinion. There's some good stuff in here. I am shocked and appalled that they're still supporting the 3DS the way they are.
They should be putting more energy in the Switch, is what you're saying?
Well, they put a lot of energy in the Switch, so they're not like removing things from the Switch for the purposes of extending the 3DS's lifespan more than it needs to be. But I wish that Luigi Mansion Remake was going on the Switch instead.
Oh.
That was the only 3DS game that I'm really interested in. I don't care about Detective Pikachu at all.
WarioWare Gold.
WarioWare. I like those games, but those games. So that is an example of a game that should have been on the Switch. That my sister and I played the Wii version like a ton in like a multiplayer fashion, and so I don't understand why a game that's obviously built for multiplayer did not come on the Switch. But yeah, the other couple games that are on the 3DS they look interesting, but nothing that really super appeals to me.
Yeah, so there are a few. Yeah, I think the 3DS is still carried by the sheer amount of the installed base is so huge that they're still going to be supporting it for a while. But it is, you're right, it is surprising to what extent they are supporting it. Right. There were a couple of things on the Switch. There's what was there? Octopath Traveler. There's a version of Captain Toad.
They got a release date of Octopath Traveler, which is in July.
Mm-hmm.
That's ahead. Did you play the demo on the?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't like it?
Well, I mean, the thing is, it is so trying to be a Japanese RPG that it's almost like too much. But I mean, if you like that, you're gonna love it.
It's like Bravely Default, except better.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I really think the art style is really appealing there. The Okami HD remaster port. Did you ever play Okami?
No, I didn't. Maybe that would be an
I didn't
opportunity
either.
to do it.
And I have a friend that was like that when I told him that, he was like, "Really? But you're like the Zelda guy. You should definitely play this game." So when it came, I have it on the PS3 or something like that, but I just never got a chance to sit down and play it. But the Switch, when it came out like recently, I was like, "Ooh, I'll buy it on PC and play it on there." But nah, I'm buying it on the Switch, doing it.
That seems to be the pattern. If it's coming out on Switch, then you buy it on Switch.
Right, and it actually, this is another thing I talk about to people with is like I have this problem where any game that comes on the Switch that I've already bought, like on Steam, like an indie game or something like that, I feel this urge to buy it again. So I can, so to be honest, I'll actually play it.
Yeah.
I just don't have as much time to sit in front of the computer and play games anymore because my wife prefers me to actually like be next to her instead of like turn my back to her while she sits on the couch behind me, you know?
So you're still playing and not paying attention, but at least you're doing that next to her.
Right. At least I can like sit closer and like at least our shoulders will touch or something like that. Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of that too.
Just buy her a Switch; it will be fine.
Yeah. So we play Overcooked sometimes on the Switch, or occasionally we'll play Mario or something like that. That's about as far as that gets. So we'll play like a level or two of Overcooked, and then she'll get it all like, I don't want to play this anymore.
I have the same problem. My wife is not a gamer at all, so hopefully my son will change that dynamic.
Yeah, there you go.
Family. So yeah, there's Captain Toad, which was fun on the Wii. There's a bunch of new levels.
I'm excited for that one because I bought it on the Wii U. I bought it on the Wii U right after I finished Super Mario 3D World or something like that, and I played like the first couple levels, and I was really into it. But I can't play my Wii U anywhere that
of course
it's reasonable.
But it's so cute, you know. That game is just Captain Toad. It's so cute, and it's pretty
and it's
good.
Really fun too. Like I enjoyed the levels in Super Mario 3D World, so I'm looking forward to going back to that.
The ones that surprised me a little bit were well, not necessarily a huge surprise, but Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy is coming out, and South Park: The Fractured Butthole. It's like this. You don't associate Nintendo with these things anymore. We should, because they had. You know, all of those games were on the Nintendo consoles back then. I mean, you know, those types of games, and they don't always have to be just Captain Toad, QT, child-friendly only.
Right.
But it's surprising that it's, you know, that they're announcing those for some reason. We almost forgot.
I'm surprised that there was no Switch of Truth port.
The what, sorry?
Switch of Truth?
The Stick of Truth.
Stick of Truth.
Right, right.
That's what they call it.
Yeah. It might show up at some point. Everyone's rushing to convert everything, so and then the announcement that broke everything. I don't know if you saw that.
You're talking about the Dark Souls amiibo, right?
Obviously, yes, clearly. Yeah. There's a bunch of other things. I mean, Undertale and the fact that Game Maker Studio is going to be compatible with Switch now, so a bunch of even more indie games are going to be easy to port on the Switch. But Game Maker Studio is a third-party middleware, and but yeah, then they announced Smash Brothers, some version, which it wasn't exactly clear what it was. But have you seen that video of the people in the store watching the announcement? And it was like, you haven't seen it?
No.
Oh my God, go watch it. It's like a bunch of people in a store watching it on a big screen, and they obviously were all hoping and praying for Smash to be announced. And the way it was announced was at the end of a trailer that features the Inklings. You just have the one of the Inklings that turns around and the camera zooms in on their eye, and you have the Smash logo reflecting in their eye. And people go nuts. It's like, it's so, like, it's joyful. People jump around, they scream, they collapse on the floor. It's like, it's so fun to see people be so excited. I'm guessing they overdid it a little bit for theatrical, for the theatrics, but it's just incredibly cute, I thought. And, but it's like Pokemon. I've never been in that age bracket of people who played Smash so much, so I don't quite get the hype myself. But you're a Smash, age appropriate person.
The secret, it was you were out of college when,
exactly, yeah,
and when the Smash Melee in particular was huge and still is. Like, if you're walking down a dorm room or a dorm, and you look into a dorm room and you see someone playing Smash, it's like, oh, maybe I'll walk in here and meet new friends and stuff like that. Like, it was a way of it's a way of socializing. Especially, I have a friend that was in the Naval Academy, and he is a huge Smash person, and he was a pretty big fan beforehand, before we went to college, and after he went to college, he was like, no, this is my favorite thing of all time, and you can't tell me anything different.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think it's.
He was pretty excited too. He asked me if I thought it was going to be a port or a sequel, and as far as I can tell, everyone's saying it's a sequel. And the reason for that was they showed the Breath of the Wild link.
But they could
silhouette.
Yeah, but they could easily add skins or characters to the Wii version, which no one played. I don't think they would. Well, I'm exaggerating a little bit.
The Wii U version, you mean?
Sorry, the Wii U version. Yeah. They could easily port it and change it a little bit, like they did with I mean, even if it's a sequel, I would suspect it might be a sequel like Splatoon 2 is a sequel, right? It's like it's basically the same game with a few new
I
modes
doubt
and
they're
a few
gonna
new
like
maps.
rework the engine from scratch or anything like that. I'm pretty sure the Wii U version was just a like port with more with a little bit updated engine from the Wii
Sure,
version,
yeah.
right?
I mean, it's still Smash Bros, but I don't know
Yeah.
enough to know, how different the Wii U version was from something else. But I guess when you look at it like that, there's if you see Mario Kart Deluxe, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it is just a port with everything that was in it. And Splatoon 2, they've added a lot to it, so it's more than a port. But that's how I see it happening, like taking the same engine, the same graphics, the same almost everything, and adding stuff on top of it. But I don't think it will look graphically different, for example. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I think it will be the same systems, the same, mechanics, and it's going to be the same timings, the same game ported, and then they add stuff to it. But I don't know. Maybe they'll redo it entirely. I mean, Sakurai is back on the game after having said he would never do it because it ruins his marriage every time.
It's just a game that he plays. He's like I'm never doing Smash again, and then a couple years later he's like, oh, I'm doing Smash again, like
2 times. So yeah, that was the huge announcement. And I mean, we didn't even mention it, but it's coming in 2018. It's coming this year.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. Like, this has become a huge year for Nintendo all of a sudden, just on the back of this one game. And they have more, but so if we weren't sure that 2018 was going to be a big year for Nintendo, guess what? It is. And 2019, they still have stuff to release as well. So
yeah, I'm very impressed by their ability to keep up their lineup compared to last year. Like, even if like Smash isn't my thing, like they still have a good amount of games that aren't just ports coming out for the Switch, which is awesome.
Yeah. We have numbers on. We were talking about mobiles. We have numbers on Fire Emblem and Super Mario Run. They're estimated, of course, but usually they're in the ballpark of what is the reality. And these estimates come from Sensor Towers. It's companies that usually do statistical analysis of credit card purchases and all of those. So they get the data on the sample and extrapolate to estimate what's happening in the market. And their estimation is that Super Mario Run made about $56 million in its first year. And Fire Emblem Heroes, remember, Super Mario Run, you had to pay for it. To play it was free to start, and Fire Emblem Heroes, which was free to play, and I would expect would be interesting to a much smaller group of people than Super Mario, generated 6 times as much. It was 300,000 or 295,000. I'm sorry, $295 million.
Yeah.
And
there's a little bit of something to look into this. The business model of Fire Emblem Heroes is something that is very popular in Japan with the gacha, I guess what it's called, model.
Yeah.
Versus the Super Mario Run model of just pay $10. So I think the kind of game design aspect of Fire Emblem Heroes is what allowed it to kind of earn so much money.
Of course, and it's reflected in the data. 60% of the revenue comes from Japan, so and 30% from the US, and everything else is 12%. So apparently, Japan goes crazy for gacha, and apparently the US kind of does a little bit as well, but clearly not as much. So, but I think the thing that is interesting is to speculate on how it will inform Nintendo's decisions to design business models for mobile in the future. We know that Super Mario Kart is coming out, I think this year. Can't remember. They announced it's coming out soon, and that's going to be a free to play game, right? It has to be. I'm pretty sure.
You'll do gacha. Either they'll have a gacha model where you get different carts or whatever.
Right. And
But,
I would expect different carts, different customizations. You'll have all of the characters, but you'll possibly even have the parts that affect the way your cart is, behaves. Controls. So it wouldn't just be cosmetics. Maybe it will be. I don't know. But and that's it for Nintendo. We have a bunch of other little tidbits that we wanted to talk about. Sea of Thieves is out today. Not much to say still. I think what we said in the past still stands. We'll see if it sort of catches fire with people's, if it gels with people's imagination. My estimation, I've seen a little bit more people streaming it and stuff like that. I think it might be a streaming game, but I'm not sure it's going to sell very well. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to sell okay, but people will stop talking about it within a month.
Kind of early impressions have been like, yeah, it's fun, but ultimately it doesn't bring you back after the first couple of hours.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe we will be proven wrong. Microsoft is doing work, though. They have started their monthly Inside Xbox video series, which is a little bit unexpected. I wouldn't think they would do something like this, like a monthly thing, where they spend a couple of hours talking about Xbox news and talking to the Xbox community. It has a little bit of a Nintendo Direct, like the way they communicate directly with their audience flair. But it's very Xbox. It's a lot more American. It's a little bit less endearing, I think, although initially when the Nintendo Direct started, I thought they were just stupid. But now I like that, but it didn't start out that way. I mean, yeah, it's fine. I think it's more interesting and more significant in that Microsoft is starting to try and do stuff to federate the community, and they seem like they care about what's happening with the brand, with the Xbox brand and strategy more than they have in the past 3 years. So there's also announcements around the cloud gaming strategy of Microsoft, and they are basically saying that they want to be ready for video streaming when it becomes more mainstream, which might take a few more years, but they're working on that as well. So it basically means that everyone is working on that in one way or another.
Video game streaming, you mean?
Yeah, video game streaming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just like PlayStation Now, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still incredibly skeptical of that. Like I have tried getting in-network video streaming working, like with video game streaming, with Steam, and I have not managed to get it to work in a way that is reasonable to me, and I'm not sure if the lag or just general just the network hiccups is going to kill that for me. It's not even bandwidth requirements. It's really just drops of packets, and that causing you to just freeze the game or the game to pick up just a little bit.
Even within your own network.
Yeah.
And your network sucks, man.
I think it's my wireless. I think it's that's the problem.
But I mean, give PlayStation Now a try. It's available. You can give it a try for 7 days. You'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think stuff is happening inside Microsoft, and we're going to see. We've been saying this for a few times now, a few episodes, but I think we're going to see stuff moving within the next 12 months ish.
I don't know. I still feel like they're not pushing out things that people really care about.
No, it's too early. It's too early. They just started working on that 6 months ago when...
I guess it's been 6 months ago. I mean, Phil Spencer has been charged for 3 years, 4 years or something like that.
But he wasn't... Satya Nadella was busy fixing Microsoft, and now Microsoft's doing okay, so they can focus on gaming a little bit more. And Phil Spencer had a promotion a few months back, and he's closer to the top. I want to hope that things are going to be turning around within, maybe 12 months is a little bit optimistic, but 18, something like that. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, competition is good, so I want Microsoft to succeed just as much as anyone else. So
there's a bunch of games coming out this week. The most notable are A Way Out, that indie dual-player game.
Indie. He says indie, but it's published by EA.
Yeah, right. But okay, maybe not indie. But it's because of Joseph Fares, who developed Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which was indie. That's
actually really cool. They've come out. I don't know when they announced it, but you only have to buy one version of the game to play with another person. Like, I can buy it and any one of my friends can play it with me.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. Even online, right?
Even online, even on Steam. It's or I think it's probably going to be on Origin, but I can buy it and just send an invite to a friend, and he can download it and play the free trial version or whatever. And I'm totally going to do that. I guess it comes out on Friday, so next Wednesday I'll be streaming that live on 4pp.tv. So I'm really looking forward to being able to do that, and
cool.
It seems super cool.
It's a very clever thing. For those who don't remember, that game is a game that you play, co-op, but you see often the camera shifts and the screen splitting shifts all the time, and you see from both players' perspective, and you have to cooperate in different scenes to do stuff. So that's pretty clever. It's coming out in just a couple of days on the 23rd. We also have on the 23rd Ni no Kuni 2 releasing. And if you like Japanese RPGs and Studio Ghibli, then
some good reviews.
Yeah,
getting some good reviews. And Detective Pikachu that day, in case anyone.
All right, that's not my thing, but Far Cry 5 is also coming out on the 27th, and I think we can spend a little bit of time on Far Cry 5. So that's releasing next week, because last week they announced so much stuff coming from that game. It's almost a platform unto itself. First, we have 3 pieces of DLC that are going to take you to like completely crazy contexts and environments, kind of like Blood Dragon did for, what was it, for Far Cry 4 or 3? Can't remember.
3,
maybe 4, 3. So Blood Dragon did that crazy neon 80s thing. Far Cry 5 is going to have 3 of them. It's like, can't remember, like zombies, space, and like Nazis or something. Oh, Vietnam. That's what it is. So that's already like DLC that you have to pay for. But on top of that, and those seem a little bit crazy, but on top of that, you also have a huge map editor, which includes assets from the previous Far Cry games and Assassin's Creed Origins. And it's like an arcade mode where Ubisoft is going to cater different game modes that are going to be included in that marketplace, kind of. Well, not marketplace, because you can't sell or pay for them, but they're going to put different modes created by the players in the marketplace, kind of like Snap Map for Diablo 3. But it seems even more ambitious than that. So
they have assets all the way back to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, so that means boats.
Yay, boats! It's huge. Like, it's I mean, huge, maybe not like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, but it's something that I wouldn't expect out of a Far Cry game. But it's pretty interesting, and I'm very curious to see where it goes.
It's kind of like they want to go a little games as a service with Far Cry, but not like fully in there with that series. So it's an interesting play that they're trying to go for there. I think it'll pay off.
I think so too. And it's not like there's a DLC, but there's not long-term monetization. Like, it's not full, as you said, game as a service. It doesn't seem like there's going to be monetization beyond the DLC. Maybe that will change, but we'll see. But yeah, it's like Rainbow Six Siege. It had a few days ago its all-time highest player count, which is insane because it launched to meddling, not hugely popular acclaim reviews, and they've been working on it so much, and they have a new starter version of For Honor, which is also a game that they've been working on so much. It's really, I think, giving a very positive image of Ubisoft. They do not abandon their games. Like, they keep working on them, improving them, and that's kind of heartwarming, especially since Ubisoft is a French company, as you know. But we're seeing early, not reviews, but early impressions of God of War, which is coming out next month on the 24th of April, I think. 24th or 26th, something like that.
20th.
20th. Ooh, so exactly a month from now. I guess that's why they dropped the NDA today. So a month from now, and I am doing my best to not read anything. Like, I don't want to be spoiled anymore. I've seen a couple of trailers, and I'm
really into this game. I think it's going to be really cool. I really like the Norse mythology. I kind of dove deep when the Thor movie came out.
All right. Okay.
I dove real deep, and I played Hellblade last year, which also has Norse mythology. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I am too, and I just don't want, like, I'm not even going to read any pre-review anything. I'm just going to buy it blind, and we'll see what happens. But it's kind of like Infinity War. I'm not watching the trailers. Like, anything that has war in it that's coming out in April, I'm not, spoiling myself. I'm spoiling it for myself. So there you go. But you can go check out the early impressions. What else? A few more dates before we get out of here. Detroit is coming out May 25th. Detroit Become Human. I'm still cautiously, I don't want to say optimistic, cautiously curious about that game. Maybe that's the best way of putting it. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is coming out in October, not in November. I think they're feeling the Red Dead Redemption 2 heat.
Uh-huh.
So it's like October 12th or something.
Yeah, October 12th. It's also got Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I don't know if that was announced. I don't know when that was announced. It just kind of appeared on the list that I look at. But that's September 14th.
Oh, is it? Okay, I didn't realize. September 14th. Yeah. Okay, I must have missed that one. I know there was a teaser that came out with the release of the movie, or around the release of the movie, which I'll go see this weekend, and I'm not expecting much. So maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. Probably not.
3 Switch games in July. The Crash Bandicoot, Captain Toad, and Octopath Traveler are all coming out in July. Right, yeah. Those are Vampire, the makers of Life is Strange. Their new game is coming out on the 5th of June. I am gonna race out and buy that game as soon as it comes out.
Mm-hmm. You'll let us know what you think.
Yeah, for sure.
Days Gone was delayed to 2019. So,
darn.
I'm not sure what to make. I think Last of Us 2 is the earliest it could come out would be holiday season 2019, right? So Days Gone can be a appetizer for that kind of environment. And if people get hyped for The Last of Us 2, I think they can go and get Days Gone just to try it out and see if it satisfies a little bit of their thirst. And it might be an opportunity for Days Gone to sort of get a bigger, how do I put it? Like a bigger share of people's minds. Yeah, a bigger audience, I guess.
Mind share. Was that the word you're looking for?
Yeah. So I think it might make sense if that's the way if it comes out after The Last of Us Part 2, no one's going to care. I guess that's the important part.
Maybe. I think that it has enough different going for it. Like, people are going to buy The Last of Us Part 2 not for the zombies, but for the Naughty Dog, Yeah,
I guess for the Naughty Dog.
I think Days Gone and Uncharted does not sell as well as people think it does. So I think Days Gone has a chance of actually being a pretty big hit compared to the kind of traditional Naughty Dog game.
Really? You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought but Naughty Dog is the big dog on Sony's stable. You think Days Gone has more of an appeal than Uncharted?
I think it has
That
a
seems
general mass market appeal.
okay. Well, I think people are getting tired with zombies. With The Walking Dead's ratings are dropping, and people are getting sick of the grimy despair. I guess maybe they don't want that in their
Yeah, but this one
games
has
anymore.
motorcycles, Patrick.
Oh, right. So you either have to be a little bit more happy, or have motorcycles, or be a Naughty Dog game because
Yeah.
they can make that one as full of despair as they want.
That's not a bad idea. A happy zombie game. Let's do that.
Well, I think that's called what's the thing with the photograph people, the camera? That game with zombies, and you can take pictures, and then you dress up and you construct stuff to kill all the zombies. Oh my God, Ed! Give me that name.
Photograph
Okay.
zombie game.
People
Dead
are
Rising?
dead. No, it's dead something. People are screaming at their
Island.
Not
Dead.
Dead Island. It's a Sega game.
Sega.
Zombie Sega game.
Outlast.
No, maybe it's not Sega. Maybe it's not Sega. Anyway, so that game is that. But it's not happy, it's more wacky. Maybe we should have happy zombies. I don't know if you're going to be happy about that one, but The Division 2 has been announced as well. It's one of those things where they could keep working on the first game forever and adding expansions and stuff like that.
It's the same thing with Destiny 2, right?
Well, hopefully it won't be the same thing, but
well, you know what I mean, like the
Yeah,
same
of course.
idea of release strategy for it.
yeah, obviously, I mean, if a lot of people are not interested in the Division 1 anymore are going to check out the Division 2. So I think it's a very positive move, and I hope they take a lot of the stuff they've learned from the first one and make a better game. I didn't get into the Division 1. A lot of people did. But I'll definitely check out the second one.
Yeah, seems cool.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 has announced its revamped progression system. Essentially,
We won!
Gamers won,
Gamers won.
on that one. Basically, there's no loot box thing that affects gameplay, right?
It's all cosmetic loot boxes now.
But there are stuff that you can buy. There is stuff that you can buy.
Yeah, sure.
But you buy it outright. It's not loot box stuff. Does that affect the gameplay though? There isn't, right?
I don't think so. I think it's all. I think all the characters and stuff come like with the game now.
Right, and you might have to grind to get the star cards and all of that, but it doesn't affect the. Well, I mean, it already doesn't, but once they provide that, I might check it out in the end. I might reward EA a little bit for doing the right thing under pressure.
If they see a bump here, maybe they'll see that. Oh, maybe we're doing something right here.
Maybe. You know what? I'll find time between my son and all of the awesome games that are coming out to go check out that game from a few months ago. I'm sure that will happen.
Yeah. The multiplayer shooter from a few months ago.
Right, exactly, with the dumb solo campaign. But yeah, no, I mean, it's good. It's good. I think I've been pretty vocal about all of this. To me, it was the one objectively undisputable bad actor in all of that controversy. I think a lot of people have been talking about a lot of games that were treated a little bit unfairly, in my opinion, most notably Destiny 2 and Shadow of War. I think they got wrapped up into a lot of anger. But this one, Battlefront 2, was, it was not it was not something that anyone could defend with a straight face. So I guess, yeah, you're right. As you said, the gamers won. That's a good one. Valve has announced they are shipping games again. They are making and shipping games, which I'll believe it when I see it. We have, it's like they have Artifact, that trading card game based on Dota. It has like lanes and stuff like that.
Even Dota 2 fans were like, that's okay.
It makes sense. Sure, we'll see what happens with that game. But Gabe Newell himself has said, we are making more games. So I'm excited. I guess you're not.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, but until you show me that you actually, I'm care less about like releasing a game. It's more just like nothing that they're talking about right now appeals to me. Give me an announcement of something that I'll like, and I'll get excited for your.
Wouldn't you be? I mean, we're not even going to say the name of the game that everyone is thinking about, but like Left 4 Dead 3, for example.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
That'd be cool, but
Portal
there's
3,
no news.
Or just 3. A new IP.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Basically,
how can you not be excited about Valve making games?
Because they haven't in forever, and they say they are, but until they have something to show for it, I'm not going to believe them.
So you've been hurt before. You don't want to get
it's a relationship. They're not even willing to put in the updates to the Steam that people want.
Which ones are those?
Well, it's a little less now that they kind of improved the wish list, which I'm people were kind of upset with the improvements in quotes of the wish list, but I think they're solid improvements. So
okay,
there's that. There's also like their Steam sales have been not great to like pushing a little bit too much free to play or early access stuff. There are things like that people have been clamoring for them to fix, but
maybe
really.
You know what? Maybe they're not fixing the stuff that needs to be fixed in Steam because they're working on making games, which is much better.
Sure.
NVIDIA has announced at GDC something that is a little bit technical, but I think it's interesting to know. Ray tracing is coming to the next generation of graphics card, of consumer graphics card. And for people who don't know what ray tracing is, it's a technique of rendering 3D images and lighting in 3D images that basically computes every bit of light in a scene. You try to see you get all of the elements of the scene impacted by ray of lights, and it creates a much more realistic and beautiful lighting for a scene. And that's something that's been used in movie making for a long time, but it was never possible to do in real time until, well, hopefully soon when the next generation is announced.
It's like an efficiency thing. Like normally when you're developing a game, you have to put a light source somewhere, and then the game engine renders the light source and its and how it comes into the player's eye. But in this case, it's kind of doing the opposite, where you are rendering based on the person's eye. So it's actually like a huge efficiency saving way of doing things, way of rendering. So it'll kind of allow you to do a lot more of calculate. A lot of the graphics cards do a lot more calculations from the perspective of the player, which will only increase the speed at which it can render things.
And hopefully, by then, bitcoins and cryptocurrencies won't be buying off all of the GPUs that the manufacturers can produce. But yeah, so I mean, ray tracing is just a blast from the 90s or back then, when I remember those terms being thrown around as some kind of incredibly amazing technique. And what else? The HTC Vive Pro is available for pre-order. It's shipping in about 2 weeks. So if you want that, it's $800 without the controllers. It's a little bit pricey. And finally, Twitch. This might have been actually one of the biggest news. I probably could have put it in the beginning of the lineup, but it's good to conclude with this as well. Twitch is going full PlayStation Network, PlayStation Plus, and Xbox Live, and offering free games with your Amazon Prime subscription or Twitch Prime subscription.
Like really good games, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're launching the thing, so as long as they're competing, we can expect them to have good games, but
Right.
that is not necessarily happening until the end of the time. But for March, there's Super Hot, Shadow Tactics, Tales from Candlekeep, that one I don't know, Oxenfree and Mr. Shifty. And in April, it's Tales from the Borderlands, SteamWorld Dig 2, which is relatively recent, Kingsway, Tokyo 42, and Dub Wars. I don't know all of those, but SteamWorld, Borderlands and SteamWorld Dig 2, obviously pretty big games.
Tales from the Borderlands is the Telltale Tales from Borderlands game that was it is my favorite of all the Telltale games.
I've heard a lot of good things about it.
It's really funny, and coming from like the more serious Walking Dead, or even the kind of semi-serious I just lost it. The game about the Fable thing or whatever.
The game about right. Yeah, I think it's
Fairy Tales.
Fable, isn't it called Fable? Okay,
it's from the Fable book series. But anyway, I thought that was a nice, refreshing take on the Telltale formula. SteamWorld Dig 2 is very popular and quite good. Shadow Tactics is a surprise hit, and that was not a cheap game. I think it was like $25 when it came out. So it's cool to see just more bang for my buck for my Amazon Prime subscription.
I think there are two elements to this. First, there's no reason not to be an Amazon Prime subscriber anymore. Like if there's anything you enjoy in life, you get something out of it, right?
So does the Europe have the 20% off physical pre-orders?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
But
they're usually pretty cheap compared to retail.
Okay. If you pre-order a game within before it comes out, at one point it was like also 2 weeks after it came out, but I think they dropped that. You get 20% off at checkout of any physical game that you buy.
Right.
So it just means that I buy a lot more physical games now than I did before. So yeah.
There's that. There's obviously, music, video, a bunch of stuff, and delivery. That's even beyond the fact that it's free delivery on a bunch of stuff. But so that's one thing. The other thing is Twitch is getting really aggressive. They're becoming much more than just. It's really interesting because they're managing to stay true to their roots in their community, and it's quirky and a bit weird and full of memes. But at the same time, they're expanding way beyond all of that. The Twitch app, you need the Twitch app, by the way, to play those games. And the Twitch app is on its way, possibly with this move, to becoming a competitor with Steam. I think this alone makes the Twitch app a almost a must install for many, many gamers. And that is immensely powerful. It makes Twitch like the second or third player. We'll see if we have install numbers at some point in the future. But it's immediately more interesting than like Uplay or Origins or those third-party shops / installers / managers. I think it's really huge for Twitch and Amazon.
Yeah, I was just going down the list of like offerings. They actually, one thing that isn't included in this announcement is Devil May Cry HD is also included in your Twitch subscription until April 6th right now.
Oh, really? I didn't realize.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that either. I didn't see that in the primary announcement. I'm scrolling down right now, and it says first game free. So maybe it's just the Devil May Cry, just the first one. Right. Is free with Twitch Prime this month. So that's cool.
But they've had like free games every now and then on Twitch. And I think I might have redeemed Devil May Cry already. But they've had free games given out every once in a while, but now they kind of have institutionalized it. Like every month, we're going to get a bunch of games and get them on the Twitch app. I think it's making well, I mean, Steam is going nowhere, so they're fine. But it's infuriating to companies like EA and Ubisoft because they've passed them, I'm sure, in install, or they will very quickly with this. So
yeah, the Origin on the house things that they do, it's cool and has a chance of spotlighting some older games and stuff like that, but it really isn't something that's regularly updated.
And I think the Twitch thing is that it does a bunch of stuff. You know, they bought the Curse app, which updates your mod on games if you're using some of the games.
And if you're Amazon Prime subscription, you get that. I don't know if this is still the case, but at one point you were getting like the Curse thing for free.
Yeah, I'm thinking they transformed it, or like they removed it.
And all I know now is I can click update all on my WoW add-ons, and they update them all, and I wasn't able to do that before. So
yeah, I think that's the Twitch app that did that. You just do it. They stopped with the Curse subscription, but yeah, I mean, it's just Twitch is shifting in a way that is expanding beyond just the streaming of video games, while still staying true to their roots. And I think that's not an easy thing to do, and they're managing, and they're growing like crazy, and that's very impressive. So, all right, I guess that's going to be it for the little bits of news we had today. So thank you very much for being on with me, Ed. What do you say you tell the fine people listening where they can find more of what you do?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Addesis, and I stream live Wednesday nights now around 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And this week I'll be playing some more Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is a game that is kind of Skyrim-y, kind of janky, but kind of fun at the same time.
Which one is it? Sorry, I didn't.
Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Okay.
It's the
LARP
historical one. The what?
The LARP one. LARP, live action role playing games. It's the Renaissance Fair type thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's set in 1500 Bohemia, and like during the Holy Roman Empire. It's super cool, actually. I think there's a couple of rough mechanics. The lockpicking mechanic's kind of weird. The pickpocket mechanic is cool, but still kind of janky or whatever. But cool things like if you put a piece of meat down while a dog's barking at you, it'll stop barking. Like little mechanics like that make the world feel lived in. So I actually highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in kind of a open world RPG, even if there's no fantasy element to it. I think it's good. So I'll be playing more of that this week, and the next week, like I mentioned earlier in the show, I'll be playing A Way Out with as a dual stream, so you'll be able to see both people's perspective on the 4pp.tv, and I think that's all that I have to say.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. The link to your Twitter account will be in the show notes as usual. For me, it's Not Patrick on Twitter and on Facebook, and you can find this show at FrenchSpin.com. You'll also find the Phileas Club over there, where we just had a conversation with gun owners about gun laws. If you think that's going to be crazy, then you are wrong. We were reasonable and considerate, and it worked out, I think. So you can check that out at FrenchSpin.com as well. And that's going to be it for us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. And until then, enjoy the games. Bye.